We today are covering how to use the clone stamp tool in Photoshop. Again, like I say, obviously these are going to be assignments where having a computer with Photoshop is kind of necessary. If you don't have access to the one, the only thing I can think to do is to make these instructional things not for credit. So it doesn't really do me much good, or you any good rather, to have an assignment that you can't achieve. So I'm still attempting to instruct on these. However, these are going to be essentially for not for points. Not to say that they're not important and that you should not be doing them whenever you're in the building. Obviously, that's how we learn is by doing here. But I'm just essentially saying that I'm empathetic to the idea that you may not have access to Photoshop. So, sorry, long-winded way to say, pay attention, do your best. Should you not have access to Photoshop when you come in the building, you will. So, anyway. So last lesson we had was on just layers and how to use our brush tool. So the reason I start with when we introduce the toolbar over here, the reason I start with the brush is because it's the same wherever we go. Regardless if you're using any type of different tool, most of them are simply fancy brushes, right? So we've got the ability here to write, whatever with the brush. I'm going to switch to my tablet pen here. Hello, right, whatever. This is a brush, right? So if I want to change the hardness of the brush, I would come up to this and decrease the hardness, make it super soft. If I wanted to change the size, I would do it here. Change the opacity, change the flow. All those things can be controlled up here, okay? So, I'll write my name here, XO, whatever. Okay, so this is our pen tool, not our pen tool, geez Louise. This is our brush tool, okay? So again, the reason we start with the brush tool is so that we can take these base principles that we learned here and apply them to the other brushes later, okay? So if we want a huge selection, we turn up our brush size. Okay, if we want a little tiny one, we can do it here. Okay, so great. So that's our brush. When we use our clone stamp tool, which lives right here below the brush tool, the keyboard shortcut right there is S. So I'm going to hit S on my keyboard, which will bring this up. You'll notice that we still have a brush loop right here, which is saying, it's going to paint that size with the brush, okay? The primary difference here is that the clone stamp tool is going to, as it says here, paint with pixels from another part of the image or another part of a layer or from another image, okay? Now how we set our point of copying, again, it's a clone stamp. It's going to copy it pixel for pixel. We set our sample point by holding down Option. Oh, sorry, I zoomed the wrong way here. Good night. Zoom in here. We set it by, I'm toggling my Option key. When I hold it down, it comes up with this little target. Hang on.
Jordan Kaplan, please come to the main office. Jordan Kaplan, please come to the main office.
Just to make you feel like you're actually in the building, we'll include the announcements on this video there. Okay, so we hold down Option on our keyboard, or Alt if you're on a Windows machine. And then I'm going to click, and that's going to set my sample point. I'm just going to do the edge of the can there. And you'll see that it kind of gives me this preview that is exactly where I clicked the center point, okay? Let me zoom back out here. And now, wherever I paint, as soon as I establish that by clicking, which I'm going to do right here on the edge of the image, okay? Now it's going to fill in based on, and you can see to the right of this, we'll see that it is sampling from that area, okay? And that's how, oops, too far. And that is how we duplicate use the clone stamp tool, okay? So we hold down Option, we click, and then we reestablish that point over here, and I'm going to click there. And then we paint, paint, paint. And then we have these 3 Coke cans where we just had 1 to begin with. Okay? So it works very similar to just our regular brush tool. We have we have size and hardness. We have opacity, which we can change. And we have flow, which we can change there. And that's essentially it. It's pretty simple, but it's a very powerful tool for us to know. So again, to reiterate, we have our brush tool, which just works with colors. So if I wanted a red color, I would paint it red, just like that. Okay. If I wanted a white color, I would sample that, and then we'd have white, and so on and so forth, right? But we change our color right here. So if I click that, it's going to bring up my color picker, where I can then change the color to say green, and then click OK, and then I can say green, okay, or kind of a off-white green or something. Okay, that's essentially it. Like I alluded to earlier for way too long at the beginning of this video, these aren't going to be for credit, but you must essentially know how to do these to pass any sort of Adobe certification or test. So by virtue of the fact that you may not have Photoshop in your house, I'm still going to give you these tutorials so that you can reference them later when we do have an assignment, and you can maybe come in and pile those up on a Friday work day or something. So hope you're all well. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at jsmith@murrayschools.org. Have a great day.